The past eludes me, yet I know the future with the clarity of vivid memory. A grand contradiction in my father's design, that remains to me a mystery. A day will come when the sun's pale yellow stare starts to fill with the taint of blood. Among the confused and tremulous hordes of mankind, amidst the endless processions of grand towers forged from metal stolen from the moon, I will walk. One knowing face, one unique being, traversing the rivers of humanity that flood this world. Unknown now, unknown when it begins, but I shall not remain unnoticed. When the time comes, I will not hide what I am. My life, a long cycle of waiting to make the offer I must make. At first my words will be mere rumour, circulating among the residents of the underdepths. My message will find its way among the filthy creatures dwelling in the sewer networks deep beneath our urban blight, creatures whose only light comes from the poisons that make their eyes phosphorescent. Whispers will find the ears of the affluent and mad who seal themselves away in underworld vaults, hoarding treasures from every age, hiding from some real or imagined cataclysm, yet striving to hold control of the lands above. I will wait. Through one path or another, bubbling up through the earth, my message will emerge into day's dimming light. Those who seek me shall find me. My misshapen face, for by human eyes it is so perceived, printed in 2 dimensions, projected in 3, shall form the centre of every conversation, rotating slowly atop the great round tables where corporate councils meet, regarded in puzzlement and awe, placed on private altars and worshipped, precious oil burned, rare beasts slaughtered, even, most horrible of all, children slain to gain my favour. Amidst a growing chaos, I will speak the same words over and over, the network of technology that wraps the world in its web providing my forum, my offer carried as pulses of light, beamed to the void and back again. This world is dying. Very little time remains. Soon all you've become, all you have ever dreamed of becoming, will be scoured away. But humanity need not perish. He who first brought you into being didn't intend for you to die with this world. Give me your fealty. Ask in humility, and I, as his messenger, will strive to grant your kind a second life. Beneath the flickering light of my burning effigy, religious despots will thunder ridicule, and their followers will chant murder in the streets. Through communication channels wired straight into the heads of their desperate listeners, the rationalists and analysts will call me mad, an exploiter, a charlatan, a parasite. Yet many more, hearing whispers from shadows of memories too ancient to be understood, will know my creed for truth. Knowing this, despite my visions of the imminent future, my heart will fill with hope. A human sentiment, surely, gained from so many eons among them. Is it possible, with so much of the past behind me, that I will have forgotten the hideous service mankind grants its saviours? The sensations so vivid, the terrors so real, I feel them now, as I will then. Rough hands roust me from a dreamless sleep, seize my wrists in crushing grips, tear at the folds of my gown. Fingers twine in my tangled locks, drag me out into a moonless night. My scalp screams as the follicles tear out. Black fluid covers my eyes, clogs my vision. My assailants fill my ears with angry babble. Their fingernails strip my gown away, strip skin from my back, belly, breasts. Outside this frail vessel that carries my soul, a flurry of sensations, of being bound, held high in the air, bleeding, a crowd's chorus of jeers, travelling swift in a craft along an ill-made path. Descending, a shower of blows, a rough grope that ends in a cry of disgust. Ascending. Inside this vessel, a mounting shrill of fear, knowing what I will see when my vision clears. When my blood-crusted eyes can finally open, a terrifying vista below. The twisting neon spires of the tallest towers of man glow ethereally in the darkness, seen from the rooftop of the tallest tower of all. Painfully harsh grips keep me doubled over, force me to my knees, dangle me head first over the edge. But when I twist my neck, I glimpse the stars. This night their clusters shine brighter than any stellar panorama I will ever see with these eyes. I gaze heavenward, and know my silent appeal is useless. Beneath my terror, a sorrow blooms. Whether mankind itself chooses its final course, or a mad misguided few, it will not be mine to know. I make no protest at their mishandling. I leave their angry accusations, their hysterical demands, their threats of violation unanswered. The blade of light pierces me between the breasts, thrusts upward, parting the walls of my belly. My only sound, a gasp, as my body cavities empty into the abyss. A black, viscous flow baptizes the darkness beneath me. Those who clutch this emptied vessel, who see what flows from my gutted corpse, will know then that I was never human. Even as they let my body fall, they will know. All will feel my passing from the flesh. My sorrows, an affectation from my time among humans, left behind with the shell I once wore. Liberated, I shall grieve no more. I, a tiny mote of nothingness, a vast discorporeal consciousness enveloping the world, will dance through the torrents of wind and weather, swim in the gulfs between atoms, and wait. The energies that bound me to my body, loosed in a massive burst, detected by the instruments of my destroyers, defying analysis. Their learned ones will flounder for explanations. A reverse in polarity? A warning from God? A message from the Spirit Mother? A formation of a white hole? The opening of a wormhole? A beacon call? Their radiologists will marvel, their astronomers will speculate at a grand disturbance in the cosmos, a surge in background cosmic rays. They'll mutter in alarm at a tremendous dark mass discovered by their forests of radio telescopes, appearing spontaneously at the galaxy's edge, generated from nothing, emerging from nowhere. A drifting mass of dark matter, a dark nebula perhaps, spilled through a rift in the fabric of space. Only my father, aroused by my dying call, awakening for the first time after 1 billion human lifetimes of sleep. Their scientists shall whisper among themselves about the missing piece of the night sky, a widening blotch along the path of the Milky Way, invisible at first to the naked eye, a strip of stars the same age, formed from a nebula parsecs wide, all dying, all winking out at once? A dense cluster of gases propelled towards Earth by the force of the titanic black hole in the galaxy's centre. Only my father, swimming between the stars, drawn to the planet where his daughter died. Their priests and priestesses will offer shrill prayers, beseeching their lords to impart the meaning of the horrendous dark shadow that swallows the night sky, blotting the stars until nothing remains but pitch black, an omen of Armageddon, a dimming of light before the celestial spheres rend. The second coming arrived at last, the vast darkness but the underside of New Jerusalem's greater glories. Only my father, closer to his destination than any earthbound dreamer in the most twisted of nightmares could ever conceive. Constellations, occasionally glimpsed in the black night, wavering, fading, the stars that defined them dancing around each other, shifting, merging, their shine distorted as their light passes through my father's translucent flesh. Auroras cavort in twilight hours, horizon-spanning fans of blazing iridescence, triggered in the ionosphere by the winds of radiation that compose my father's breath. In midnight hours, rolling waves of mad colour burst across the heavens, widening, spreading, vanishing, stars flickering within them like glowing fish seen in the abyss. Moon-sized spheres like raw red suns appear suddenly, cast aside the darkness, paint the world like an open wound, and then are gone. The children of earth will babble, scream and shriek at what they see in the night. Some will panic, resort to murder or suicide. More tragic yet, some will welcome the sights, thinking them signs of some wondrous new contact, the start of some long-awaited dream of rapture. But the greatest tragedy of all will be the shroud of ignorance that smothers every one of them. The power that could have given them new life, here to end the cycle of their evolution. Those who will suffer for the murder of his daughter, doomed never to understand the cause. When dawn ends a new moon's night, my father's single six-lobed hand shall appear opposite the sun, a monstrous billowing deformity dwarfing that stained yellow eye. As the world spins, my father's hand will rise in the western sky, ascending to meet the sun in the east. Pouring from their towers, crazed masses of humanity will reach undreamed-of peaks of barbarism. Men of the urban blight will parade their dismembered children and women through the streets. Military engines will sweep their killing lasers through the crowds, bringing rains of blood and severed limbs. The skyscrapers that pierce the stratosphere will spill human flesh from every window, bodies piling hundreds of feet deep, those trapped beneath crushed by the sheer weight of their fellows. But despite all supplications, despite all attempts to escape, my father's hand will eclipse the sun. As my father's fingers close, that star's golden corona will shine out between the narrowing gaps, struggling still to give light to its daughter world. Then, absorbed in his nebulous substance, the sun's light will die, the earth cast in darkness, and the whole of humanity will see my father's true face. The face of their Creator, blotting out the cosmos. Then the fires will come, shock waves from the dying sun, stellar matter loosed from my father's fist. The earth's surface, purged of life, its crust cracking open, vomiting its innards into the void, turning itself inside out. But mankind will not die. My father, governor of energies and forms, will bind them to their bodies, cast out into the cold of space, blood boiling, still they will live. Buried in the molten floods, trapped inside the cooling rock, still they will live. Burned and hollowed out shells wandering the lifeless, airless hulk of their planet, still they will live. The energies fueling the minds and spirits of the human race bond stronger, break brighter than those of any other species blessed by his intervention in their evolution. My father will not let his creations go to waste. The shimmering, ragged pucker of my father's maw will rise above the ruined earth, so enormous no human still possessed of eyes will ever glimpse the whole of it. Then his mouth will open, and yet another behind it, and one behind that, infinite tunnel of billion-fanged mouths receding into his star-swallowing gullet. Yet the earth will not be consumed. Instead, he will draw one great breath, stripped from the planet's surface, pried from the rock, snatched from space, all his creations will be drawn into him. All the men and women and children, their bodies boiled, broken and burned, hurled through the endless procession of stellar mouths. Even the energies of the discorporated dead, from the apes whose mind first awakened to those who perished during the sun's death, drawn into the labyrinth of tunnels through time and space that compose my father's pulsing veins. And where will I be? When he comes, I will rejoice. And when he begins his journey into a new universe, I will join him. The humans, their writhing shapes howling, endlessly digested, reformed, to fuel my father for his travels. Their screams to me, only music. Celestial child, I will cavort through the time-streams that carry my father's blood, delighting in the perpetual motion machine that is my sire. The past eludes me, yet I know the future with the clarity of vivid memory. A grand contradiction in my father's design that remains to me a mystery. Each night I lie awake, pondering why he would bind me here, to play saviour to man, to offer them all the chance to evolve beyond the limits the universe has given them, yet leave me with the certain knowledge that his plan will fail. A lesson, perhaps, that I once understood, its significance denied to me now, that will prepare me for my eons as a world-maker. How I long for our reunion, that at long last he may enlighten me.